Welcome back to the second floor of the Duncan Student Center. I'm Kirra Halfman alongside Payton Dymek. And as basketball season draws to a close, something else is on the horizon here at the University of Notre Dame, and that is the spring sports season. Payton, what's in store today?
Well, today we're rehashing old matchups. We're talking softball stars, even a track field star made bobsledder for the Olympics, and even learning a brand new pitching rotation for our Notre Dame baseball team.
All right, well, this is the Spring Sports Whip Around Show,
and this is Shamrock Sports.
And we welcome you back. I'm now joined alongside by Brendan Mato. We're going to talk some men's lacrosse. They had their exhibition games in late January. Brendan, you've gotten to take a look at the team so far. They opened their season on the road this weekend against Marquette. What should Fighting Irish fans expect?
Well, for Notre Dame, as you said, only 2 exhibition games. They've looked good, but those are exhibitions. You can't count on that to be the full competitive roster for Notre Dame, so there's not much to argue with there. What I will say, they're number 7 in the country. USA Lacrosse knows that they're a good lacrosse team, both sides of the ball, most specifically defense, though, which we'll talk about in a second. For Marquette, recent history, not been very kind to them. 0-10 against ranked opponents since 2023. You can't let that stat fool you, okay? Marquette usually blows leads in those games. They've blown leads in most of those games, actually. That's an execution problem that has actually haunted them to this day. However, what I'm meaning to say with that stat is there's going to be a strong start to this one. Marquette couldn't even jump out to an early lead, but don't count the Fighting Irish out. It's about execution and a full 4-quarter game of lacrosse. Marquette coming off a 14-7 loss against the University of Michigan. I mentioned execution. That's a game where they outshot the Wolverines. They had less turnovers, and Lucas Law, their goalie, Lucas Law, in goal, was one shy of his career-high saves in a single game. They couldn't get the ball in the net. They were 1 for 4 on the man-up situation. Michigan was 3 for 4. That's how Michigan got it done. So I think this weekend what you need to look for is a strong, full 4-quarter game of lacrosse, execution all the way through for Notre Dame, and they'll be able to get it done.
Absolutely. They're totally capable of that. They've had a strong roster. This team has been amazing, made it to the championship quite a few times. As always, though, there's movement in the roster in the off seasons, whether that's adding new talent or losing some players. So how do you think that the team dynamic will look this season compared to last season?
Team dynamic is going to shift pretty dramatically based on, Kirra, you mentioned those national championship teams of 2023 and 2024. It's going to rely heavily on the defense this year. The long poles are going to carry Notre Dame as far as they can go, really. Sean Light, preseason All-American. He's, defenseman in front of the goal. He's with Thomas Ricciardelli in between the pipes for the Irish. I mean, that's some senior leadership. Will Donovan, the long stick midfielder, preseason All-ACC. He's joined by freshman talent Andrew Grzenia out of Detroit Country Day. So it's really going to be about defense for the Irish. Generally, that speeds up the game. So for Notre Dame, look for a lot more turnovers, taking possessions quickly down the field, getting into the restraining box, quick passes, much like a hockey breakaway, what you would think about there. That's really what's going to change. It's not going to be sort of the slow, methodical screen pass from X offense that you've seen. Don't count it out. It's Coach Corrigan's cash cow. Obviously, it's one of 2 national championships, but he might not have the quarterback like a Kavanaugh or Jordan Faison to run it this year.
All right, well, that's an exciting season ahead there for Notre Dame's men's lacrosse. And now we'll send things over to Payton Dymek and Irish softball insider Isaiah Dunn to learn more about what's going on the diamond.
Thank you, Kirra, and thank you, Brendan. I'm Payton Dymek, and I'm joined here by Isaiah Dunn. Now, before we start, actually last night I discovered one of my new favorite movies, and I think you might have known a little something about Austin Powers.
Yeah, all right, here we go with this thing again. I have not seen Austin Powers 1, Austin Powers 2, or Austin Powers 3, and I obviously have to catch up on my work because a lot of people have been telling me it. Softball team's been giving me a hard time with this ZB. I don't know what they're talking about.
ZB.
But what I do know is about this Notre Dame softball team.
Oh, yeah. And in all honesty, I've never seen Austin Powers either, so I'm right there with you. So basically, the Irish softball team is traveling to East Carolina this weekend for the Purple and Gold Classic Tournament. So how do you think they're going to do this weekend?
I think the Irish will be coming out hot, guns blazing. I think they came off a very strong week just this past, and they're going to have confidence. They're going to play great ball together as a unit. I do think they're going to be going 4-1 with their one loss just being to East Carolina because they are the home team, and it's hard to beat the home team twice in a tournament. But still going 4-1, proving that they are the best team in this tournament.
And I can totally see that, Isaiah. And now, aside from yourself, who are some people that the Irish should look out for on this team?
I think number one, Michaela Castor. She just came off a no-hitter this past week. That is insane. I was in class. I said, Mick, how did you feel about this? She said, I was in the flow state. And I think that's going to continue this weekend. Next, Mickey Winchell. She is a great leader for this program. Consistent batter, gets on base, brings in RBIs. Third, Rebecca Eckhart. She hit 2 home runs just this past week. Something I cannot say I've done against these pitchers, which I have gone against with 2 of my teammates, Ethan Long and Chance Tucker. We went into this pretty confident, but we came out humbled. Let's take a look.
Oh, my gosh, yeah, one of y'all.
I mean, we didn't even hit the ball. It was so believe me when I tell you that these pitchers are no joke.
You better believe it. Notre Dame softball is in the hunt for a ring this season. You know what? Speaking of rings, Notre Dame Television has got 5 of them. Here's Leo Romano and Ryan Murphy for their Irish in the Olympics coverage. Let's take a look.
Thanks, guys. Ryan Murphy here with Leo Romano out on South Quad. And Leo, all anyone's been able to talk about this week have been the Winter Olympics going on in Milan, and there are a few domers we should be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, one comes in bobsledding. Her name is Jaden O'Brien. Now, Jaden O'Brien, you might remember her as a track athlete here at Notre Dame. It's very common in bobsledding to transfer from one sport to the next. And because track involves speed, strength, very much athleticism, it makes sense that she's there. Now, she's in Italy alongside her teammate Alana Myers-Taylor, and they're going to ride their first race coming up next Friday. That'll be on the 20th. And her journey wasn't easy, though, Ryan. For those of you who don't know, her journey started a few months ago, and in December, she had one of the worst collisions of all time. She thought she was paralyzed. Fortunately, she was not, and a month later, her and her teammate were able to clinch a spot in Italy. So she's a true warrior and a living example of what it means to play like a champion today. Now, from one Notre Dame athlete to a Notre Dame coach, I'll hand it off to you to talk about the women's national hockey team.
Yeah, the hockey team's coaching staff, Leo, is heavy on Irish graduates. John Wroblewski and Josh Skiba are both Irish grads. Wroblewski graduated from Notre Dame in 2003, Skiba in 2007. He actually played with Notre Dame head coach Brock Sheehan, and here's what Coach Sheehan had to say about the pair in Milan this week.
Yeah, I know John a little bit. Like, he was before my time, but in the coaching world, we coached against each other in the USHL. He's a really talented coach from what I know from people that have worked with him, and an elite hockey mind, and not surprised how well he's done. And then Josh Skiba is a former teammate of mine, and just a great human and great family man, and unbelievable. He is a really good player here. Scored 20 goals here one year. He's not surprised that he's done really well in the coaching world, just because he's such a genuine person and cares about the people around him. So wish them the best of luck. Obviously, they had a big win against my country yesterday, so they can want them to do as well as possible.
So Sheehan, obviously he's from Canada, so he has maybe a little bit of mixed emotions about the success of the women's team, but they're doing quite well so far. They beat Canada 5-0 on Tuesday in a record-setting victory, and they'll face Italy in their quarterfinal match today. That game started about 30 minutes ago, and it would be an easy victory you would expect for this women's team. Probably be one of the upsets of women's hockey history if Italy were to pull it out.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're going to send it back to the guys at the desk, Leo Romano and Ryan Murphy. Excited to watch all the action to come in Milan this coming week.
And we welcome you back to the studio. We welcome Reagan Williams and welcome back Brendan Mato. It's time to talk some women's lacrosse. Now, the team is off to an undefeated start after an amazing weekend last weekend in Loftus Sports Arena. Reagan, can they continue this momentum?
I absolutely think they can continue this momentum. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better start to the season. Not only did they take down a very talented Michigan team, but they also dominated against Central Michigan. That being said, Boston College and Harvard are two very competitive teams, and in order to take out the victories, we're going to have to play very strong. I think the two most crucial aspects this weekend are getting ahead early and trying to take control of the game. I think that's going to be so crucial, and we need to let our offense capitalize as much as possible. We also need to utilize the same defense that we did against Michigan. I mean, we only held them to 22 shots, and I think that was crucial for the victory. And this team seems very confident, and if they can enter these games confident and play with that same enthusiasm, I think we can finish the weekend 4-0.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of enthusiasm, they had their third shutout in program history against Central Michigan over the weekend. Brendan, are you of the same opinion? Will they continue up with this momentum, or will they struggle as they head into Boston this weekend?
Well, I think Reagan said it best, Kirra. 25-0 is ridiculous. I mean, that's so good for team morale. That's so good for momentum. Beating a Michigan team in a gritty four-quarter game of lacrosse, 12-10. I mean, that defense is so strong from the Wolverines. It's hard not to think they'll continue the momentum. But really, Boston is a really hard trip. Boston College, third in the country. They're incredibly talented. They've already put a loss up to Northwestern, though. I mean, Northwestern's the best team in the country. But, I mean, Notre Dame has a really good chance with the momentum that they have right now. I think, thinking about it, I think you take a tough one to Boston College. You put 4 quarters of play out there like they did against Michigan and see where they fare. They might not come up with it, but Harvard, I'm really looking for. I think Notre Dame matches up well with them. Lots of young players, lots of some good talent though on either side. So I think if you're Notre Dame, probably your goal is 1-1 coming back from Boston.
Absolutely. I mean, they're starting the season off with great momentum. Last season, though, they really didn't leave off on a good foot. They failed to make the playoffs last season. So given this momentum, how high should their hopes be for making playoffs this season?
I think in terms of general hopes, I think they should be about the same. They came into last season, they were unranked, kind of sleeper team, right? They were 7-8 though, right? And Coach Halfman knows that that's a down year for Notre Dame lacrosse. They don't want to do that again. She's really excited about the roster. We've heard it in interviews. She's excited about the roster. She's excited about the challenging ACC schedule, which also includes really challenging teams like Northwestern for themselves. But she's excited, and I think Irish fans should be excited too. Notre Dame has a good chance to throw some punches here late in the season, throw some punches early in the season with Boston College this weekend, and make themselves a contender in the ACC once again.
Absolutely. Brendan, you and I were talking earlier about how just tough the ACC is for women's lacrosse as a conference as a whole. Reagan, are you of the same opinion? Is there potential for playoff appearance?
I totally think there's potential for the playoffs this season. I mean, granted, we're in the hardest conference, so beating those ACC teams is definitely going to be a challenge. But I think what's key for helping this team succeed that we didn't have last year is this talented freshman class. I mean, we have some of the best freshmen in the country. The freshmen contributed to a third of the goals this past weekend, and freshman goalie Cece Patterson had her first shutout ever in just the second game. And I think if the team can utilize this freshman class and really integrate them into helping contribute to the victories, there's no saying where this team's going to go. I mean, I think they have so much potential to not only make the postseason, but have a very successful postseason run if they're able to utilize this roster well.
All right, so high hopes yet again for another Notre Dame lacrosse team. And now we're going to send things over to Payton Dymek and NDTV baseball insider David Owens after this commercial.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too.
And thank you, Kirra, for that awesome analysis. Payton Dymek here, joined by David Owens. And speaking of talented freshmen, David is quite the Swiss Army knife for NDTV. You know, he's a great broadcaster. He builds our graphics. And David, what else do you do?
That's a good question. But we're going to move on to baseball. We got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. Got a new graphics format we're going to try out. And Payton, before we start talking about this year's roster, I want to take you back to last year. Notre Dame started off with a very mediocre season, ended up going 16-3 out of their last 19 games, and that was because of the talented experience, just an array of talented people. Unfortunately, lost a lot of them. You had Esteban Moreno go to the draft. Carson Tinney transferred to Texas, and then you got 5 other seniors graduating. So suddenly, you're left with only 2 people from your batting order, and Scott Stifler going into his 4th season as head coach. It's nothing new for him. So what you do, you switch Parker Brejcevic over to third base, and you got a whole new lineup over here. We've got 2 transfers. We've also got 2 freshmen, and this is a really, really great roster. Some people I really want to highlight first is Bino Waters. Over here, this guy is an absolute barrel. He had 9 home runs, 3rd on the team, and also the lowest amount of strikeouts, had 26 with guys over 100 at-bats. He was batting about .317 ending the season last year, and he's projected 7th overall in the MLB draft, putting him going to the Orioles next year. So a very exciting guy. Another quick guy I want to highlight, someone with experience, Davis Johnson over here. This guy was the DH last year, was 4th on the team in home runs. They're going to have to rely on some of that experience if they want to build up the rest of these freshmen and transfers and get them into that Irish mentality and pick up wins.
So it sounds like Notre Dame is kind of starting from square one in this sense. So then what are your thoughts on this pitching rotation?
So the same thing with the batting order goes for the pitchers. Notre Dame lost 2 of their 3 starting pitchers from last year. A lot of great talent, including Rory Fox, who now plays for the Yankees. However, they still keep their ace. Jack Riddell has been an absolute stud last year. Last year, he had a 7-4 record over his starts, including a 3.5 ERA, 60 strikeouts. That was 2nd on the team. He was just building up momentum across the year. Going into his junior year now, he is ranked 29th out of best pitchers in the nation and was a preseason All-American. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. He is going to be the leader of this team. But I also want to mention a couple other options if you want to go a different route. We've got Kellen Klosterman, a guy who had 5 starts last year, had a lot of great experience. Even though Stifler didn't really mention him in his preseason conference, that's a fallback guy if you need it. You also have Caden Crowell. This is a guy that went from his high school year, was 15th in the nation for left-hand pitchers, not to mention 1st in this state, Indiana. And then you got Ty Eber, of course, a guy from Stanford, has a lot of ACC experience. He's a grad transfer, and he's going to be bringing the heat this year.
You know what, David, this really made me go bananas about Notre Dame baseball. And you know what, speaking of bananas, Chris Daly is one himself, and in this story, he is unpeeling the truth behind one of Notre Dame's baseball players now playing for the Bananas, Clark Gilmore. Check out Chris Daly, here it is.
Since graduating in 2025, former Notre Dame pitcher Clark Gilmore has left baseball for banana ball.
We got a full count here. Oh, trick pitch! Oh, he got
To fully appreciate Gilmore's rise to the pros, you have to realize he's not your average clown. His journey began at Dartmouth, where he spent 4 years before heading to South Bend. And when his college career ended, the crafty right-hander knew it was banana ball or nothing.
Well, I'd like to say that banana ball is the greatest show in sports. When you show up to a game, you are bit by the bug. It's baseball without all the boring stuff. There's no walks, there's no bunting, there's no mound visits. It's the most electric players, the hungriest players, making the most unbelievable plays you've ever seen on a baseball field.
While Gilmore's passion for the sport is indisputable, his road to becoming a banana ball pro wasn't a walk in the park. In fact, it was one ripe with challenges that he had to find a way to peel through along the way.
After graduating, I lived in the Overlook apartments, and I had about 2 months left on my lease. So I decided to stay at Notre Dame, but I needed something to do. So I started making videos, and when I felt that I had built up enough of a following, I decided to apply for banana ball. I was one of those 2,500 applicants. Thankfully, I was one of the 300 who were invited to a tryout. Then I was one of the 160 from the tryout who were invited to the draft, and then one of the 65 to finally be drafted and now get to be here living full-time in Savannah, Georgia, ready for the 2026 World Tour.
Clark will be playing for the Indianapolis Clowns, a new Banana Ball Championship League team, joining 2018 World Series champion Jackie Bradley Jr. and some of the game's most exuberant misfits. A week into spring training, to say Clark's loving it is an understatement.
It's been incredible. I like to tell people that I actually texted my classmates from Mendoza who are all doing great things in the business world, and I joked with them that I had 2.5 hours of meetings today. And they were like, "Oh, you poor thing, what are you gonna do?" And I said, "Well, hopefully there's a dance break in between." And there was. So there's a lot of dancing, there's a lot of content being created, and there's a lot of baseball being practiced. But it's really the best of all worlds, and I couldn't be more excited to do all this preparation for the greatest show in sports, the 2026 Banana Ball World Tour.
From the Ivies to the Irish, and now the bright lights of Banana Ball, Clark Gilmore is one of one. In a game that celebrates both skill and personality, Gilmore is right where he belongs. From NDTV, I'm Chris Daly.
Well, Peyton, our analyst, did a wonderful job previewing the spring season ahead here at Notre Dame. I'm really excited to see what those lacrosse teams can do. Peyton, what are you looking forward to?
I mean, I'm really looking forward to our softball team, and not mentioned, but also our track and field stars are already having a great winter season. Can't wait to see it when they continue that in the spring.
Absolutely. Lots of optimism here at NDTV for the spring sports season ahead. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Shamrock Sports. Have a great weekend.
And go Irish!